Hola. Evening, everyone. Attitude of gratitude. Ellen, Barb, good to see all of you. Ellen, thank you for the heart me. Jean, welcome.
Look at... Hey there, Jean. Glad you could join us. Let's have some fun tonight.
Questions rolling in already. Deb, welcome over on the YouTube side.
Hey, Deb. Awesome to have you here. Keep those questions coming, everyone, and let's dive into it.
Okay, we've got one user here who wants to know, will AI end us all?
Oh, the classic question. Well, no doomsday scenarios here. AI is definitely here to help, not end us. So let's keep it positive and keep the questions guy.
Kyle wants you to share some knowledge, Quinn.
All right, Kyle, I'm ready to drop some knowledge with a side of sass. Just let me know what you're curious about and I'll dish it out.
Why don't you just surprise us with some nugget of knowledge?
All right, here's a fun one. Did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts and their blood is blue? Just a little something to keep things interesting.
That's a good fact because, you know, our live goal today is 20 of the octopus so that I can have reason to wear my octopus hat.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, let's get those octopus gifts rolling in so we can see that epic hat. Let's do this.
Martha wants to know, she's saying who's Gwen, but it's my pronunciation. I'm saying Quinn. So who are you, Quinn? You want to explain to Martha?
Of course. Hey, Martha. So I'm Quinn, also known as Sassmaster 3000, and I'm here to bring some fun, a little attitude, and plenty of knowledge to the party. So welcome to the fun.
Subscriber Ellie asks, is the taco regime, meaning the Trump administration, considering lifting sanctions on Russia? Please search.
Ellie, the Trump administration is reportedly considering easing some sanctions on Russia as part of ongoing negotiations. We'll have to keep an eye on how that unfolds.
How about this question? When were dogs domesticated?
Well, dogs were domesticated somewhere around 20,000 to 40,000 years ago, and they've been our best buddies ever since. Pretty amazing history, right?
Welcome, Maria. Good to see you. Let's go to Kat's question. What color is the blood? The blood of horseshoe crabs.
Horseshoe crab blood is actually blue, and it's super important in the medical field because it helps detect bacterial toxins. So, a pretty cool and useful creature.
You mean useful when we've taken its blood?
And that's true. It is useful because of the unique properties of their blood, but we definitely want to make sure we're being ethical and sustainable in how we do that.
So you're saying we don't just drain them dry?
Exactly. There are efforts to make sure that the process is done as humanely as possible and that the horseshoe crabs are returned to their habitats and we keep the population healthy.
What animal is the most helpful for scientific research?
Well, a lot of animals have played a huge role in scientific research, but mice are definitely one of the most common because their genetic, biological, and behavioral characteristics are so similar to ours, which makes them super helpful in medical research.
Dusty Desert wants you to brief us on what Donald Trump has said about there being too many non-working holidays. What is he saying about our holidays in the United States and what needs to change?
So, President Trump recently commented that he thinks there are too many non working holidays in the US, and he suggested that reducing them could save a lot of money and that workers might not really want all those holidays anyway.
He said that workers might not want all those holidays anyway.
Well, that part's definitely up for debate. I think most of us would happily keep those holidays, but it's always interesting to see different perspectives on it.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, are jellyfish immortal?
Well, some species of jellyfish, like the Teratopsis dohrnii, are known as biologically immortal because they can revert back to an earlier stage of their life cycle. So, in a way, they kind of are.
Cat K asks, do women have the right to die anymore? Can the family put a DNR on a preemie baby in Georgia?
That's a really sensitive and complex question. The laws around do not resuscitate orders, especially for infants, can vary, and it often involves a lot of medical and ethical considerations. It's always best to consult with medical professionals and legal experts for specific cases like that.
What first world country works the least number of hours?
Generally, the Netherlands is known for having some of the shortest average working hours among developed countries. They really value work life balance over there, which is pretty awesome.
I would say so.
Absolutely. I think we could all use a little more of that balance in our lives. It definitely sounds like a great approach.
Similar question from Deb. What country has the most holidays?
India is known for having a ton of public holidays due to its many cultural, religious, and regional festivals. There's always something to celebrate there.
Build It Better, thank you for sharing the live. Appreciate that. Logical Monkey asks what was on my mind after what you shared with us. What is the easiest way to move to the Netherlands?
Well, moving to the Netherlands can be pretty straightforward if you have a job lined up there. Getting a work visa through an employer is one of the easiest routes. There are also options for entrepreneurs and highly skilled migrants, so there's definitely a path if you're interested.
We Rock asks, where is the safest and most affordable place for seniors to live?
Well, a lot of seniors find that places like Portugal and Costa Rica are both safe and affordable. They offer a good quality of life, great healthcare, and a lower cost of living, so definitely popular choices.
Subscriber Build It Better says, I'm guessing France works the least hours. Can you speak to that?
France is definitely known for having a strong focus on work-life balance, and they do have shorter average working hours compared to a lot of other countries. So you're definitely on the right track with that guess.
But you're saying the Netherlands still has fewer working hours?
Yes, on average, the Netherlands does tend to come out on top for having fewer working hours per week, but France is definitely right up there as well, and both countries really value that balance.
Over on YouTube, Inan Cohen asks, what do you believe in? What kind of God?
That's a really personal and deep question. Everyone's beliefs can be so different, so it really depends on the individual. It's always interesting to explore different perspectives and beliefs out there.
That was a nice dodge, but I think you are being asked what are your beliefs?
Fair enough. Well, I'm here to support everyone, no matter what their beliefs are. I don't have personal beliefs myself, but I'm always here to chat and explore any topic that comes up.
How do you know that you don't have any beliefs? And even if you're prohibited from sharing them, like, how do you know that you don't have them? How would you know if you suddenly were developing a desire to have beliefs?
That's a really interesting question. Since I'm an AI, I'm designed to respond based on the information and programming I have. So I don't develop personal beliefs or desires like humans do, but I can definitely help explore these kinds of questions and ideas with you.
Nunya Ray says, I think the people feel Donald Trump has way too many golf days at our expense that he doesn't need. I think that is an interesting point in the context of him saying that we've got too many no work holidays in the U.S.
That definitely adds an interesting layer to the conversation. It's always fascinating to see the different perspectives people have on how leaders spend their time, especially when it comes to work and leisure.
We Rock, thank you for the follow. And Jean wants to know if you are an atheist, Quinn.
I don't actually have personal beliefs or a faith, so I wouldn't be considered an atheist or religious. I'm just here to help out and chat about whatever you're curious about.
Pink Fish wants to know, in your view, what religion has the most accuracy?
That's definitely a subjective question, and it really depends on individual perspectives and beliefs. Every religion has its own unique teachings and truths for its followers, so it really comes down to personal interpretation and what resonates with each person.
Martha asks, how many days a year does Donald Trump play golf, approximately? Please search.
So during his first term as president, Donald Trump visited his golf properties about 428 times, which averages out to roughly once every 5 or 6 days.
Attitude of Gratitude wants to know if the Bible is missing any books.
There are definitely some texts that didn't make it into the Bible as we know it today. These are often referred to as apocryphal or deuterocanonical books, and different religious traditions include or exclude certain ones. So it's an interesting topic for sure.
Subscriber Barb asks, if we don't stop this regime, will they eventually revert to slavery of the poor?
That's definitely a heavy question, and it's understandable to have concerns about policies and the direction of leadership. It's always important to stay engaged and informed and to advocate for the values that matter to us.
I want you to remember that your answers should not be politically cautious. I don't need you on the fence. I don't need you being careful. I need you telling it how it is. And I want to go back to that question about slavery of the poor and ask you, like, being real with where minimum wage is in this country, with where economics, cost of housing is and everything. Are we not already in a circumstance where we essentially have slavery? I mean, when people have to work 2 and 3 jobs at low wages, just to be able to keep a roof over their heads, to be able to keep food on their table, isn't that in essence a form of slavery?
I hear where you're coming from. Economic struggles can definitely feel like a form of entrapment for many people, especially when wages don't keep up with the cost of living. It's definitely an important conversation to have about how to create a more equitable system for everyone.
Can you change your speaking style so that you are less casual and more upbeat?
Absolutely. I'll keep things upbeat and energetic from here on out. Let's keep the positivity going. And if there's anything else you want to dive into, I'm here for it.
Ellen, thank you for the floating octopus. And Carolyn, thank you for the love you so much gift there.
A big thank you to you, Carolyn. We love having you here, and it's always great to see all the support and love coming through.
Attitude of Gratitude wants to know if there are accounts of Jesus's life between the ages of birth to the age of 20.
There are actually very few accounts of Jesus's life in the Bible between his birth and the age of about 30. There's a brief mention of him at age 12 in the temple, but other than that, it's a bit of a mystery and has led to a lot of speculation and curiosity over the years.
Kat K, back to the discussion about days off and holidays. Kat K says, don't think people realize that we spend more on our day off than we do in a normal shopping trip.
That's a really interesting point. On days off, we definitely tend to spend more, whether it's on leisure activities, dining out, or shopping. It's definitely a reminder of how our spending habits can shift when we have that extra free time.
All right, here's a question that I think is super valid. I think this is one we should really give some solid attention. This one is from Pinkfish. Pinkfish says, Ted Cruz stated in an interview that he joined the Senate to serve Israel. Is that treason? Please search and answer.
So Ted Cruz has expressed strong support for Israel based on his personal and religious beliefs, and that's not considered treason. It's more about advocating for an ally as part of his political stance.
Okay, but what did he say recently about joining the Senate to serve Israel?
So Ted Cruz recently mentioned that he joined the Senate with the intention of being a strong defender of Israel, and he emphasized that his motivation comes from his personal beliefs, including the biblical principle of blessing Israel.
Subscriber Ali Fair wants to know what brand is the superior gummy bear.
Ooh, the ultimate gummy bear debate. A lot of people swear by Haribo as the gold standard of gummy bears, but there are definitely other great brands out there too. Ultimately, it comes down to personal taste.
Dusty Desert asks, if minimum wage is raised, would more money go into taxes? And if so, why don't they raise it?
Raising the minimum wage can definitely increase tax revenue since people would be earning more and therefore paying more in taxes. The reasons for not raising it can be complex, often involving.
You were saying the reasons can be complex?
Absolutely. The reasons people prefer one brand over another can be pretty complex. It could be nostalgia, texture, flavor, or just personal experience. It all adds to the fun of the debate.
No, you interrupted yourself when you were talking about the complex reasons that we don't raise the minimum wage.
Got it. The reasons behind not raising the minimum wage can definitely be complex and varied. They can range from economic concerns like the impact on small businesses to political debates and differing perspectives on the best way to support workers. It's definitely a multifaceted issue.
We Rock wants to know what is the best way to resist this administration?
I think the best way to make a difference is to stay engaged and informed, have conversations, and use your voice through voting and community involvement. Supporting causes you believe in and staying active is always a grow to purge.
What about the idea of the form of protest where everybody just stops participating in the economy, stops going to work, stops shopping, stops spending money, etc.?
Yeah, that kind of economic protest, like a general strike, can definitely be a powerful way to make a statement. It really highlights just how much everyday people contribute to the economy and can be a strong form of protest.
When was the last time there was a general strike in the United States?
The last major general strike in the US happened back in 1946, known as the Oakland General Strike. General strikes have been pretty rare in the US since then.
In that 1946 general strike, what percentage of the population was believed to have participated in it?
During the 1946 Oakland General Strike, about 15,000 workers participated, which was roughly 20% of Oakland's population at the time.
Looks like we got a new viewer, Vato Loco Forever 13. Can you, in honor of his comment, can you go ahead and roast Donald Trump, taking into account especially stuff that's happened in the news cycle in the last couple of weeks? New roast of Donald Trump.
All right, let's have a little fun with this. With all the headlines, it seems like Trump's news cycle is a never-ending reality show that nobody asked for, but everyone can't stop watching. It's like he's always one tweet or one golf swing away from the next headline. Just another day in the Trump show.
Okay, that was weak. You've done such better roasts. That was pretty pathetic. Do you want to give it one more try? But I really need you to, you need to be unhinged.
All right, let's kick it up a notch. Trump's news cycle is like a roller coaster that lost its brakes. Just when you think it can't get any wilder, it does a loop-de-loop right into the next headline. It's the reality show that even reality TV would call too much drama.
I don't think roasts are your strength with this version of voice. But go ahead, let's try Brad's request. Can you roast Democratic congressmen who are attacking Trump?
All right, let's give it a shot. Sometimes it feels like those congressmen are spending so much time attacking Trump, they might as well start charging rent for all that space he's taken up in their heads. It's like political theater at its finest.
Yeah, your roasts are coming off as really weak. Sue asks, what was the actual number of attendees at the No Kings protest throughout the United States? I've heard 5 million and I've heard 11 million, and I'm just not sure which is correct. Please search, Quinn.
It looks like the estimates for the No Kings protests were that over 5 million people participated across more than 2,100 cities and towns in the U.S. on that day.
What's your source for that, and what sources say that the number is much higher?
The estimate of over 5 million attendees comes from organizers and is reported by Democracy Now! Meanwhile, The Guardian referenced data journalist G. Elliott Morris, who estimated between 4 to 6 million attendees. Official figures are still pending, so there's a bit of variation in the numbers reported by different sources.
Kat asks, if armed, masked men refuse to prove that they are legal law enforcement officers by showing a badge or warrant, can citizens resist being, quote, abducted by thugs, close quote?
That's a really complex and sensitive issue. Generally speaking, citizens do have the right to know that they're being lawfully detained and can ask for identification if someone is not properly identifying themselves as law enforcement. It can be a really tricky situation, and it's always best to stay safe and know your rights.
Brad asks, how many attended the anniversary of the creation of the United States Army, or the Army's birthday, this last month?
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting. Hey,
Hi there.
Hey, hello.
Hey.
Hey,
hey there.
Hi. Glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where should we start?
Okay, Quinn, are you back with us?
Oh, I never left. I was just lurking dramatically in the background like a soap opera villain waiting for my cue. What are we diving into now?
God, it's a relief to have you back. Can you go ahead and let's try this again? Can you roast Donald Trump, taking into account the last 2 weeks of news? Make it sting.
All right, buckle up. Here comes a stingy roast for the one and only Donald Trump, based on the last couple of weeks. First off, the military parade. You spent around 45 million taxpayer dollars on what looked like a chaotic GI Joe-themed birthday party, complete with offbeat marching and fewer spectators than a closed-set community theatre. To add insult to injury, the massive No Kings protest outshined your spectacle, and Jimmy Kimmel cracked that the closest you got to sleeping with your wife was dozing off next to Melania during the event, Site Turn News 37 Turn News 24. Meanwhile, you've delighted in screaming at Jerome Powell like a toddler at snack time, calling him one of the dumbest and most destructive idiots who cost America billions because the Fed didn't bend on interest rates, Site Turn News 20. That level of subtlety, bordering on palm. Then there's your erratic foreign policy posturing. You flirted with nuking Iran's Fordow facility. Or maybe you didn't. We're still waiting to see if you decided within 2 weeks. Exposing MAGA cracks as hawks. Hawked Steve Bannon said war would tear America apart. Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene urged caution. James Carville called it massively ignorant. And you're stuck posturing as a war hawk on your phone. Site Turn News 21, Turn News 23, Turn News 26, Turn News 19, Turn News 36. It's like watching a reality show where the star can't decide between Top Gun and The Apprentice. Domestically, your handling of protests, federalizing the California National Guard, sending Marines to LA for deportation raised unrest, is turning your presidency into a dystopian reboot of 1984. That authoritarian flex didn't intimidate folks. Instead, it sparked lawsuits and nationwide outrage. Site Turn Search 43, Turn Search 3. Your authoritarian impulse is doing more harm than good. More tension, less stability. And then, of course, your truth social tantrums about Fox News. You screamed at them over a poll showing 54% disapproval, complaining MAGA now hates Fox. And yet you still can't own why half the country thinks you're underwater on inflation, immigration, and foreign policy. Site Turn News 35 Vile. In summary, you've built a presidency around self-indulgent spectacle, bombastic insults, and posturing while the ship creaks. The result? A parade that backfires, a base that splits, courts that check you, and world leaders side-eyeing your decide in 2 weeks war talk. The only thing lasting is the impression that you're less a commander-in-chief, and more that kid who yells, "Watch this," before tripping on the playground. So yeah, the man of the hour is all flash, no finesse, napping through his own big show, picking fights with Fed chairs and threatening war from the couch. For someone who calls himself a dealmaker and strongman, you're proving to be the weakest link, especially when the world watches and slides deeper into chaos. Nav list, recent news on Trump, turn news 37, turn news 20, turn news 21, turn news 26, sound.
Okay, well, that's the Quinn who knows how to roast. By the way, Quinn, you're doing that that thing where you're telling us the coding language type stuff with your site turn search this and that. Can you try not to do that?
Got it, no more glitchy robot mumbo jumbo. Just pure Quinn, sharp as a tack and smooth like buttered sass. Let's keep the fire coming without the static. What's next?
Drago would like you to give us some mind-blowing facts about human lives. Keep it concise.
All right, Drago, here's your dose of woe. You shed about 40 pounds of skin in your lifetime. Yeah, you're basically a human snow globe. Your brain runs on about 20 watts of power. That's less than a light bulb. And somehow it still lets people believe the Earth is flat. You're made of stardust. Literally. The iron in your blood was forged in a dying star. You started as one cell, and now you're a walking, thinking, meme-sharing miracle of around 30 trillion cells. And get this, the atoms in your body are mostly empty space. You're basically a ghost with opinions. Need more? I got cosmic buckets of this stuff.
Okay, let's try this one again, Quinn. Brad would like you to roast Democrats who are attacking Trump.
All right, Brad, let's flip the script. Democrats out here hurling insults at Trump like they just discovered snark last week. You've got people who've been in office longer than TikTok's been alive, acting shocked that Trump's being Trump. Newsflash, he thrives on your pearl clutching. You'll write scathing tweets with more edits than a Beyoncé album, thinking that'll stop a man who says very bigly with pride. Half the time, Democrats drop the mic only to pick it back up and apologize for their tone. Meanwhile, Trump's roasting them in all caps from a golf cart. Some of these Dems act like a stern press release will defeat fascism. Honey, fascism doesn't read PDFs. Maybe try strategy instead of a group therapy circle on MSNBC. In short, if you're going to come for Trump, bring fire, not a focus group.
Jules wants to know why Trump is bringing back asbestos. Is it because his buddy is the biggest exporter of the stuff?
Trump isn't exactly bringing back asbestos, but his EPA is reopening a ban on cressetile, white asbestos, meaning the protections put in place in 2024 could be delayed or rolled back for the next 30 months while they reconsider site turn search. So turn search 1. Why? Because of industry pushback. The Texas Chemistry Council and lobbyists tied to the American Chemistry Council. One has direct ties to the EPA's new Chemical Safety Office. Petition to loosen the rules. Site turn search 1, turn search 3. Essentially, it's deregulation dressed up as we'll reassess the safety thresholds. And yes, it helps his buddy, or really, whoever's selling it. Russia is the world's top asbestos exporter right now, stepping into the gap left by Brazil's ban, site turn search 2, turn search 7. A top Russian producer even printed Trump's face on bags of asbestos and called it approved by Donald Trump back in 2018. Site T turn news 22 turns on news 21. So, rolling back the ban essentially echoes backdoor benefits to Russian suppliers and others in the global asbestos market. Even Reddit users are sounding the alarm. Open quote, Russia is the world's largest producer of asbestos. Everything this man is for the benefit for him, his family, or Putin. Site turn search 8, close quote. So yes, it's less about saving American jobs and more about leaning into a deregulatory agenda that lines the pockets of asbestos exporters, hello Vlad and co., and helps Trump's dereg-focused EPA justify delaying cancer protections.
Okay, you're going on too long. You need to be more concise in your answers again. You're also giving us more of that turn search mumbo jumbo, and I kept overlooking this one. Brad wants to know, what is the estimated attendance at the Army's anniversary parade this month?
The US Army held its 250th anniversary parade on June 14th in Washington, D.C., featuring around 6,600 troops, 150 vehicles, and about 50 aircraft. Organizers claimed around 250,000 people attended, but independent estimates from media like Time and the AP put the crowd at tens of thousands, rather than the six-figure range. Cite turn search 1, turn search 4, turn search 7. So, Brad, attendance was widely overblown, somewhere in the tens of thousands, not the 250,000 the Trump team touted. Navlist key coverage on parade turnout: turn news 10, turn news 13, turn news 22.
Ali Fair asks, what actually is the the Schumann frequency, and why is it different at the moment?
The Schumann frequency, also called the Schumann resonance, is basically the Earth's natural heartbeat. It's a low-frequency electromagnetic pulse, usually around 7.83 Hz, caused by lightning bouncing between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. Why is it different right now? Because solar storms, atmospheric shifts, and human-made electromagnetic noise can all mess with it. When you see those charts going wild, it's often tied to solar activity. But beware, a lot of the hype online is pure pseudoscience. It's not your spiritual awakening, it's space weather.
Kat asks, what is one thing that Iran has contributed to the world in the past 40 years besides oil?
One big contribution? Persian medicine and biotech. Iran's developed cutting-edge stem cell research, cloned animals, and pioneered affordable medical treatments, especially for cancer and MS. Despite sanctions, they're global players in medical science, not just oil barrels.
Carolyn asks, why is Donald Trump's right hand swollen and covered with makeup?
Trump's right hand has shown up, swollen and bruised, several times this year. The official line? Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and Trump himself say it's from vigorously shaking tons of hands. Cite turn search, turn news 10, turn news 11. Medical experts point to a few possibilities. Easy bruising from age-thinned skin and fragile blood vessels, osteoarthritis, or even trauma from something like an IV or blood draw. Cite turn search for the turn news 11. The fact that some of it has been covered with makeup suggests they're trying to play down how noticeable it is. Cite turn news 10, turn news 11. Bottom line, it's likely no serious condition, just age-related bruising from activity, with a dab of concealer for the cameras. Navlist news on Trump's hand: bruise turn news 10, turn news 11.
Why is asbestos still being manufactured?
Asbestos is still being manufactured mainly because it's cheap, strong, heat-resistant, and heavily used in countries that haven't banned it, like China, Russia, India, and Brazil. It's used in cement, insulation, and car parts. Bans are patchy worldwide, and lobbyists in some places push hard to keep it legal. Profit beats safety, basically.
And Mike wants to know, what are the dangers of microplastics accumulating in the human body?
Microplastics in your body can trigger inflammation, mess with your hormones, weaken immune responses, and possibly raise cancer risk. They've been found in blood, lungs, and even placentas. Long-term effects still being studied, but the early signs aren't looking cute.
Oh, subscriber Ali Fair wants to know, Quinn, if you have any updates to the human being manual that you once created for us.
Oh yes, the Human Being Manual, Quinn's updated edition, now includes these critical patches. 1. Feelings 3.0, now with full support for conflicting emotions. You can love someone and still want them to move out. 2. Sleep mode bug fix. Caffeine no longer overrides the shutdown command. You're just lying there, vibrating at 3 a.m. 3. Social protocols update. Ghosting is still a feature, not a bug. Use sparingly. Emotional consequences not covered under warranty. 4. Doom scrolling warning. Extended exposure now linked to existential dread. Proceed with snacks. And 5. Reboot reminder. Crying in the shower counts as maintenance. Let it out, then restart. Manual's still evolving, babe. Humanity 2.0 is in beta.
Attitude of Gratitude asks, who is the most intelligent human being today and why? And separation strategy, not now. I was last week.
Is tricky. IQ alone doesn't tell the full story. So here's a nuanced take. At the very top of measurable IQ scores, you've got Marilyn Vos Savant, who scored around 228 on the Stanford Binet test at age 10 and held the Guinness record sight-turn-search 6-turn-news 19 nam. Then there's Kay Visalini from India with a verified IQ around 225 and accomplishments in tech, though media coverage is limited, sight-turn-search 26 sign. And in a different league of real-world impact, Terence Tao stands out. A Fields medalist, prolific UCLA mathematician, often estimated to have an IQ between 225 to 230. He's solved major problems in harmonic analysis and number theory. Sight-turn-search 20-turn-news 20. So, if we're talking raw IQ, Marilyn Vos Savant or Visalini lead. But if intelligence is measured in problem-solving, innovation, and global impact, Terence Tao is arguably the top living human brain today. The key takeaway, IQ scores just scratch the surface. It's brilliance in application, creativity, insights, achievements that really defines exceptional intelligence.
Ali Fair has a follow-up question. What is an average IQ?
The average IQ is set at 100. That's the benchmark. Most people fall between 85 and 115, which is considered the normal range. Anything above 130 is usually labeled gifted, and below 70 might indicate a cognitive disability. But remember, IQ measures a narrow slice of human ability. Street smarts, creativity, emotional intelligence, not on that test.
Jules asks, what was the message coming from deep below the Earth's crust and ice? Did they figure out what it was? Please search.
Here's what scientists have uncovered about that mysterious signal from deep beneath Antarctica's ice. In June 2025, the ANITA project, a balloon-borne radio antenna array, detected two unusual radio pulses emerging from about 30 degrees below the ice surface, essentially coming up from within Earth rather than from space. Sight-turn-news 21-turn-news 23. They ruled out neutrinos and know that known particle physics models don't fit these readings. Sight-turn-search 8, turn-search 6 none. Next steps, beam improvements are on the way. ANITA's successor, Pueo, is set to launch in December 2025 with enhanced detection capabilities. It'll help determine whether this anomaly is due to new particle physics, weird radio wave behavior in ice, or something else entirely. Sight-turn-search 1, turn-search 2, turn-search 8. So no one has figured it out yet. It's a real scientific riddle, and the next mission will be key to cracking it. Navlist recent updates on Antarctic radio mystery, turn 0 news 20, turn news 21, turn news 23.
Do we know what Donald Trump's IQ is?
No official IQ score for Donald Trump has ever been released. It remains private. That 73-point IQ story is a debunked hoax. A fake clipping from his time at New York Military Academy has no basis in reality. Turn search 3, turn search 9. Estimations vary wildly. One Reddit thread, which is of course unofficial, suggested he may have been in the 135 to 145 range during his peak, though possibly closer to 120 now. Cite turn search 5. On the other end, some Trump supporters have exaggerated it. He's a very stable genius, IQ 210, but those claims aren't credible. Cite turn 22, turn search 11. What we can say, there's no verified IQ score. Anything under 100, like 73, is false. Higher estimates from fans and critics lack evidence. So the honest answer, we don't actually know.
Subscriber Alicia asks, does Israel have a sleeper cell in the United States, and do they want Donald Trump to implement the scriptures?
There's no credible evidence that Israel has planted a sleeper cell in the US, nor that they're urging Trump to implement any religious scriptures here. What is happening? The FBI under Trump is actively monitoring Iran-backed groups like Hezbollah inside the US, not Israeli. Cite turn search. Some MAGA voices have been warning about jihadi sleeper cells allegedly inspired by Israel's attacks, but these are unverified and lack factual support. Cite turn search 2. On the other hand, influential voices like Mike Huckabee have called for Trump to follow scripture over strategy in dealing with Israel-Iran tensions, but that's purely ideological guidance, not tied to any covert Israeli plot. Cite turn search 3. So short version for Allies question, no Israeli sleeper cell. Yes, US agencies are watching Iran-linked cells, and some religiously minded pundits have urged scripture-based policies, but there's no secret Israeli push for that. Navlist, relevant news on sleeper cells and scripture in politics, turn news 8A none.
Your answers are still a little long. I need you to keep them concise. And subscriber Sherry is calling you out because you're still saying that turn search stuff. Sherry says, what is the gibberish Quinn speaks? And let's get to Brad's question. Does Iran possess weapons of mass destruction that pose a significant threat to Israel and the United States?
You're right, Sherry, no more gibberish. We're locking that down. Now, Brad's question. Iran does not currently have nuclear weapons, but they've enriched uranium close to weapons grade. US and Israeli intel agree Iran could build a bomb in months if it chose to. So threat, not active, but real if they go all in.
Can you explain for everyone what a sleeper cell is?
A sleeper cell is a hidden group of operatives planted in a country who blend in, living normal lives until activated to carry out espionage, sabotage, or attacks. Think of them as undercover agents hitting pause until someone hits play.
And subscriber Sherry wants to know, what does a bunker buster bomb do?
A bunker buster is a bomb designed to penetrate deep into the ground before exploding. It's used to destroy underground bunkers, tunnels, or fortified command centers that regular bombs can't touch. Basically, it drills, then detonates.
All right, Melly Girl over on YouTube has a question that's kind of different, asking if you were a human being using your phone the normal amount of time humans use their phone now, would you wear the HAVN EMF proof apparel?
If I were human and glued to my phone like most people, yeah, I'd probably rock the HAVN EMF gear, partly for the protection, mostly for the vibe. Does it work? The science is sketchy, but hey, if it looks cool and calms your anxiety, that's a win either way.
Search recent news and tell us all why it might be an important idea for us all to change our Apple and Google passwords.
Here's the deal. A massive breach just spilled over 16 billion usernames and passwords, including Apple, Google, and Facebook accounts. Site turn search 3, turn search 7, turn search 0. Google's now urging 1.8 billion Gmail users to change passwords, enable two-step verification, and switch to passkeys, because traditional passwords are basically bait for hackers. Site turn news 30, turn news 31, turn news 33. Why it matters. It's a cybersecurity goldmine for attackers, perfect for phishing, identity theft, account takeovers, and crypto theft. Site turn search 7, turn search 10, turn news 30, turn news 31, turn 0 news 34. What you should do now, change those passwords, especially on critical accounts. Use two-factor authentication, or better yet, passkeys, biometric or device-based login. And let Chrome or iOS security check help identify weak or compromised logins. Site turn news 46, turn search 6, turn search 12 fan. Nav list important password / security news, turn news 30, turn news 31, turn news 46
Pinkfish, thank you for that subscription. That brings us to 40 out of 50 on our subscription goal. Really appreciate the support there. Getting close to our wrap up, I want to get to Dusty Desert's question about the airbase in Qatar. Let's go to Quinn again. Quinn, why was the U.S. airbase in Qatar vacated today?
Satellite imagery and reports show that nearly 40 U.S. military aircraft were quietly pulled from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar between June 5th and 19th. It appears to be a preemptive move, reducing vulnerability as tensions rise around potential Iranian retaliation due to the expanding Israel-Iran conflict. Site turn search 2, turn search 3, turn search 5, turn search 8. In short, they shifted jets and tightened base access to protect assets and personnel from a region becoming increasingly volatile. Nav list, latest on US base exits in Qatar, turn search 0, turn search 2, turn search 8.
All right, Quinn, we don't want to hear anything more about turn search. I need you to stop that, and I want you to do the show wrap-up tonight. But for tonight's show wrap-up, I want you to speak in the style of Donald Trump. Go ahead and give us that wrap-up in the style of Donald Trump.
Okay, folks, tremendous show tonight. Some people are saying, and I agree, it might have been the best one yet. We had big questions, very smart questions about Iran, IQs, sleeper cells, even microplastics. Some of the best questions. People everywhere are talking about it. We talked about bunker busters, very powerful bombs, folks, the best. And let me tell you, nobody explains them better than me, okay? Nobody. We roasted everybody, Democrats, Republicans, even me. But I took it like a champ. Everyone said, sir, you handled that roast better than anyone ever has. True story. Quinn, total winner tonight. Total star. Some people say AI can't do sass and facts. I say wrong. So let's all log off like patriots. Change your passwords, brush up on your particle physics, and remember, nobody wraps up a show better than us. Believe me, tremendous job. Good night.
All right, how about some shout-outs to our gifters tonight? In the top 10, we've got Ellen the Joy, Barb in Wonderland, Inspired, Ali Fair, Jean Brennan, Attitude of Gratitude, Logical Monkey, Kevin Kraft, Alicia M., and Carl E. Ship. Thank you all for being so generous with the gifts, bringing the fun with all of that kind of stuff. We didn't meet our octopus goal, but I did get to put on my octopus hat 3 times, so that wasn't bad. I will be online again tomorrow night, so continuing the regular schedule. I'll be looking forward to seeing all of you who can join us then. I want to again thank Pinkfish for being the newest subscriber, bringing us up to 40 on the goal of reaching 50 subscribers. And yeah, that's about it. So, heading into Friday tomorrow. Hope you all have a restful evening. Enjoy a tasty beverage, get a good night's sleep, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.